How's this for a nickname for a neighborhood? Pigtown. It's not called that today, but decades ago it was. It's in Flatbush, Brooklyn today, and at one time over 100 years ago, it was where you took your garbage and your junk and you dumped it. Goats, pigs, and stray dogs roamed the neighborhood, but by the 1950s, this was no longer true. But the gritty lives and attitudes of those who lived there, that was certainly still the case. Pigtown was an Irish and Italian blue-collar neighborhood, very poor. Many hoods in Pigtown were connected to the mob, or as someone told me, it was real easy to make someone simply disappear in Brooklyn. There's a scene in the TV show The Sopranos where Jackie Jr. robs a card game being played by some maid guys. That actually happened in Pigtown when 3 mask-wearing kids held up a card game being played by wise guys. It only took 2 days and they were found parked by a bar with some bullets in their heads. Here's another example that was told to me by someone who lived in Pigtown. There was a guy who was stealing cars and taking them to a chop shop in Pigtown. He was making good money, but then he got greedy. He stole a car from a capo. Now, he didn't know that a capo owned it, but it was all decked out. He went missing shortly after that. Back then, the dumping ground was the dump out in the flatlands of Jamaica Bay. Someone noticed a bad smell and some liquid dripping from the trunk. They called the police, they popped the trunk, and they found that tough guy who was stealing cars, rotting away. Now, today's story is about a guy by the name of Billy. Now, Billy was a member of a gang called Pigtown. I know, not very creative, but that was the name of the gang. But Billy actually lived at 277 Gates Avenue in Bed-Stuy, and he made the long trek to hang out with the members of the Pigtown gang, who hung out every night at a park in East New York Avenue and Albany Avenue. The year was 1952, and the gang had 20 boys between the age of 16 and 17 years of age. Now, I spoke to someone who was in the junior part of the Pigtown gang in the late 50s and early 60s, and he too lived close to the border of Bed-Stuy, similar situation to Billy. Now, he said he was fighting by the time he was 7 or 8 years old, and he used the weapons of the day such as car antennas. He told me that the basic rule of thumb was you grab the closest item you can use as a weapon, and antennas were very accessible. They are also used to make barrels for .22 caliber zip guns. Because Pigtown was associated with organized crime, outside gangs like the Bishops, they wouldn't generally risk going into Pigtown to start trouble. But in Billy's case, he lived in Bed-Stuy, so he was in danger. On September 9, 1955, he was involved in a gang fight, but according to his mother, Billy was an innocent victim. He was just standing on his own stoop, minding his own business at about 10 p.m. when he was mistaken for someone else. He was attacked by a group of youths who had been attracted to the area by some girls. But these youths were chaplains. And it wasn't just William that was hurt. His brother was hurt too. William was supposed to appear in court as a witness for the state, and he was subpoenaed for the grand jury. But that was in 1955. Something much more eventful than getting attacked by a gang happened to Billy when he was younger. When he was 13 years old, Billy hitched a ride on the back of a trolley car when he slipped and fell, and a car ran over him, resulting in the amputation of his right leg 3 inches below the kneecap. He received a settlement award of $25,000 for the accident, and he was supposed to receive the money when he turned 21 years of age. I did the math, and this is the equivalent to $329,000 today. But ever since the accident, Billy went off the rails and he was completely out of control. And his relationship with his parents, especially his mother, went more sour than spoiled milk. His problem with mom and dad were because he kept late hours and his friends were of questionable reputation. But the incident that broke the camel's back arose out of his desire for some cash to buy a suit of clothing for the Easter holiday. When the money wasn't given to him immediately, he stormed out of the house and he went to live with a 28-year-old single male. His absence was reported to the police, and Billy's parents said they couldn't control him, and so he was put on probation. While he was on probation, his mother found a rubber instrument, which Billy admitted was for hurting others while he associated with the Pigtown gang. He had no intention of leaving the gang or stopping his delinquent activities, and he even went so far as to say that if his mother interfered, he would kill her. He claimed he would have no remorse about being sent away to an institution. So his probation was revoked and his wish was granted, and he was sent to a reformatory. Billy's nickname was Peg, which I guess you could see happening from a mile away. Having a prosthetic limb in the reformatory was a challenge, and they had to accommodate him with his disability. Prosthetic legs at the time weren't cheap, and they were $250 to get replaced. That is the equivalent of 5 weeks of wages. His mother had to assist the reformatory in knowing what to do, including providing information about the manufacturer and making adjustments to the prosthetic leg. When Billy got out of the reformatory, his relationship with his mother still had severe ups and downs. While he was on the inside, he wrote a very nice letter to his mother asking for forgiveness, but even after that, their relationship was still in extreme turmoil. He was more interested in his friends, and his mother constantly nagged him, and she didn't treat him like a young man, but neither did he act in a way that would give her the confidence that her son was growing up. I saw the notes from the parole officer about the relationship between mother and son, and you can't help but feeling that he was babysitting two hissing cats who couldn't get along with each other. Billy's intention was to use his $25,000 to start a grocery store. So if you know a guy who owned a grocery store who had a prosthetic leg and he went by the name of Billy, well, guess what? Maybe you know the rest of the story. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. I appreciate you and you giving your time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day.